guys, today I have a bit of a rant in store for you, and I think it's a topic that just about everyone can relate to. And as you can see from the title, I wanted to sort of break down some of the different types of toxic friendships and just relationships in general that you can experience, and these are ones that I have personally experienced and lived through. If you have not experienced all of these types of people, I hope you never have to, and I hope that perhaps hearing of what I went through and knowing some of the warning signs might help you avoid it in the future. Or if you have experienced these types of people, you'll get it on a deeper level, and we can have some discussion down in the comments below. Anyway, without further ado, I will get started. So the first kind of toxic friendship I want to talk about is what I like to call the mooch. Well, this is something all of us can be guilty of from time to time. The mooch takes it to a whole new level. The mooch will stop looking at your friendship as a two-way relationship and start looking at you as a bank account of sorts, something that they can get resources from and never put anything back into. Now, these can be small things or very large things. I have myself and other friends experienced both ends of the spectrum. And by small, I mean it can be things like whenever you go to a coffee shop, they always ask you to get something for them. Now, mind you, I've got a relationship with my friends where if I'm at a coffee shop and I'm going to hang out with somebody, I'll text them and ask if they want something. But generally, it's sort of an unwritten rule that, if you're constantly going, yeah, I'll have this, eventually, every now and then, you might go out, and when you're going over, you might return the favor, both ways, show you care. Well, the mooch will never volunteer to be the one to go, hey, you want something. This won't happen because to a mooch, they are receiving from you. It never goes the other way around. There may be one or two moments where they do something very small, like one time they'll buy you a drink, or one time they might cover your end of lunch, but they won't use that as a, here, I'm giving back to this friendship. No. The mooch will use this more as a bargaining chip. That way, if you ever decide to confront the mooch when you feel like it's becoming sort of parasitic, they can go, well, what about all the stuff I did for you? I bought you that drink, remember? Now, if it were just as silly as getting drinks, this wouldn't be a huge issue, because I've been friends with people over the years who are a little moochy, but I've had an otherwise good friendship with them because it was just little things and I didn't really mind, and I was in a position where I could give. However, the mooch becomes a problem when it becomes all aspects of your life, small and large, that they want to start mooching from. Planning on going out and doing something with the friends? Well, the mooch will always miraculously just never be able to afford it, and they'll just really want to go, and you would be such a good friend if you could cover their way every single time. Or, disregarding money and moving on to something else such as time, the mooch will expect you to drop whatever you're doing so you can come and help them, but they can't be bothered to lift a finger in return for you. I've also noticed a disturbing trend with mooches, and that as long as it's not their money, they don't care about the etiquette of ordering expensive things. For example, an ex-mooch friend of mine had pulled the, oh, I don't have money to go out and join dinner, even though she had just been talking about, yeah, I'm getting paid today. But beside the point, she pulled her, oh, I can't afford to go thing, and I tend to be a little bit of a bleeding heart with stuff, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll cover you. We get to the restaurant, and I order something on the cheaper end of the menu since I know I'm going to be paying for two people, and I need a moment to compose myself, flips open to the page with the most expensive items, has the gall to look at me and go, I've never had filet mignon before. Well, that ain't changing today, honey. Girl, have you never heard the unwritten rule of etiquette where if somebody else is covering your way, you don't order something more expensive than them, let alone the most expensive thing on the item. You don't need the surf and turf when I'm getting the $9 burger. What the hell is wrong with you? And in this particular case, the moocher escalated. It was smaller things getting larger, and eventually what ended the friendship was the moocher was ready to go straight from moocher to straight up swindler. They were trying to trick a mutual friend into giving them several $100s because they apparently couldn't afford their security deposit otherwise. And long story short, they had told another friend of ours that their sister had paid them back money from months ago, and that was several $100s, mind you, so they did have the money for the security deposit. Oh, but by the way, don't tell these people, don't tell them, just between us. Well, obviously, the other mutual friend is like, that's a little shady. So she comes to me, tells me, and I'm like, really now? This is in a whole new ballpark from coffee drinks and rudeness at a restaurant. This other mutual friend of ours was straight up going to give her the money because she felt really bad for her. Needless to say, we let the person she was trying to swindle know, and Moochie McButt did not get the money, and we cut off that friendship. The next wonderful, wonderful type of friend we have is the self-esteem destroyer. Oh yeah, I have a feeling quite a few of us have experienced this one. You know, that friend that the term frenemy sort of popped up around, that one who they just love to give you backhanded compliments. They sort of, get close to you, find out what your insecurities are, and then sort of dance the line of making you feel worse about them, but not doing it intentionally. They sort of they snipe it in there. The self-esteem destroyer feeds off of your self-esteem to grow their own. For example, maybe in high school you cropped your hair short because you wanted to see what it was like, and it wasn't for you, and you're really missing your long hair. Well, the self-esteem destroyer will be right there to not comment on your hair, but stroke their long hair and just be sure to let you know just how much they just love their long hair. And oh, it's wonderful. Your hair is nice on you. I just love my long hair. Isn't it pretty? It's like princess hair. You more of an athletic body type, but you wish you had bigger curves? Oh, they'll be there to remind you about it. Oh, you're so lucky to have such small boobs. Big ones are so heavy and they hurt your back. You're actually lucky. I mean, look how big mine are. It's such a burden. Don't you feel better? Or my personal favorite, their sneaky mental tactics. See, the sole function of the self-esteem destroyer is to keep pushing you down because something inside of them is broken enough that they need somebody else to feel worse than them so they can feel better in themselves. That's how they function. So you better believe this applies to all aspects of your life, be it your appearance, your interests, or what was the case with my ex self-esteem destroyer friend. Guys I was interested in. When you're close friends with somebody, you tend to tell them when you're developing a crush on somebody because you trust them and you're wanting moral support and them to sort of help cheer you on or, just give you guidance in that because that's what friends do. However, the self-esteem destroyer will see this as yet another opportunity to take something else away from you. What do you mean you think he's cute? Don't you know, I had a crush on him since the beginning of the school year. How could you do this to me? If you're really my friend, you'll stop talking to him and back off. He's mine. First of all, honey, human beings cannot claim dibs on other human beings because they're not objects or property. The other person you're talking about gets a say in the situation too, but that's besides the point because the self-esteem destroyer doesn't necessarily even care about the person you're interested in. They just care that you're interested and that's something that they can take away from you. Moving on, the next type of toxic friend is even worse. And this is what I like to call the manipulator. And this type of toxic friend can take many different forms. It can be somebody who is angry and spiteful, and they'll manipulate your behavior through fear of their reaction being negative and scary. They can be somebody who plays with your emotions, like they're trying to guilt you into things. It can be friendships, it can be romantic. The manipulator has many faces, so they're particularly nasty to look out for. And speaking from my personal experience and what I've personally encountered, I know that the manipulator will often lie to your face and not feel the slightest bit bad about it in order to manipulate you to do things that they want. Perhaps these won't be straight up bald-faced lies, perhaps it will be lies of omission, but they know what they're doing nevertheless. They are distorting the information that you are receiving to make you not have the full picture of what is going on in a particular situation, so you'll do what they want, when if you had the full picture, you might not make those same choices and they might not get what they were wanting from the get-go. Using a personal example. See, back in high school, I was friends with somebody, and they were a hardcore manipulator. See, I was planning on going on a vacation with my family to a water park, and I was really looking forward to this. And I had been telling my manipulator friend about this, and that's when they started the manipulating. You see, they crafted up this big story about how their parents were going to be going out of town that weekend, and they were all alone, and they were scared. They didn't like their new house, and they didn't know what they were gonna do, and they kept piling it on and on and on and on and on until I finally agreed, fine, I'll skip this family vacation I was seriously looking forward to, because I actually like my family, and I'd stay at my place, and she was gonna come over and stay with me so she wouldn't have to be alone. Well, as it turns out, her family didn't leave town. We ran into them at the grocery store that was down the block. Turns out she had just wanted to hang out that weekend and was pissed that I was going away and wasn't going to be there for her amusement. A+ friend, A+. Oh, the manipulator, so good at playing with your emotions, especially the manipulator that claims to have extreme depression. And I don't say that lightly. I've dealt with depression myself, and family members and friends. I know how serious it is, so it's that particularly frustrating when the manipulator takes it lightly and uses the name of depression to get things out of you. Stop me if you've heard this before, but say there's a certain friend that's really wanting your attention, but you're busy, and then suddenly they're having a crisis, and if you don't drop everything that you're doing and immediately give them your full attention, they're going to do something dangerous. Only you get on the line with them, and suddenly things are fine. Let me just tell you, it is incredibly frustrating for someone to take advantage of your good nature. The person who is willing to go there and spend time with you is doing so because they're worried about your well-being and your health, and they care about you. So if you are willing to use a fake crisis to get something you want out of them, you are a terrible garbage person. The final thing I've encountered with the manipulator is they have a huge tendency to break promises that they made to you and then act like, what? I never made that promise. You're misremembering. It's you that's the problem. Seriously, this one is extremely frustrating and agitating and just exhausting. Nothing quite makes you question your trust and your own sanity like the manipulator that likes to completely misremember or forget promises they made to you. For example, they promised they were going to go somewhere with you that weekend, and when that weekend rolls by, and when you call them up, oh, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going here with this other person. But you promised we'd go here today. Promised? What are you talking about? I never promised you that. You're misremembering it. I never, ever said that. And you, plain as day, remember them making that promise to you so clearly you can almost remember the exact words that they used. However, to them, nope, never happened. No. You're just misremembering things. Nope, I never said I'd do that. We never agreed to that. What are you talking about? No. You are the one who's misremembering that. I didn't make that promise. Right, of course not. And again, this is just a broad example, and certain things I've encountered myself. This can take many different forms, but I'm sure this is still applicable and relatable to many of you who have had many different types of these friends. Finally, the very last thing I want to touch on before the end of the video is the most volatile type of toxic friend. And I will call this one spite incarnate. Now, the thing with this type of toxic friendship is it can sprout from any one of these past types of toxic friends. It could be a mooch, it could be a self-esteem destroyer, it could be a manipulator, it could be a combination of the three. But the spite incarnate is someone who does not take well to friendships ending. Now, mind you, it does not matter how the friendship ended. They could have ended it, you could have ended it could have ended ugly, or it could have even ended as peacefully as possible, where you told them, I hope you have a good life and all that. But it doesn't matter to them. The spite incarnate has an almost obsessive need for vengeance. These types of people can't just let it go. They can't just let you go on. They can't try and be the bigger person. They can't try to just find inner peace and move on. No. The spite incarnate must destroy you. They will not rest until they have attempted to go after everywhere that will hurt you, be it your friends, your clubs, your interests, your reputation, anything they can do to make you miserable, they will try it. These types of people will go out of their way to try and turn all your other friends on you after your friendship with them has ended. Even if you agreed with them to try and keep things peaceful, they will go behind your back and do this, and they will start talking crap about you to the other friends, trying to twist them against you. Or if things didn't end well, God help you, they're going to go full force at your other friends and try to give them ultimatums. It's either me or them. Oh, they're horrible. They're literally Satan himself. Like, they're gonna go for your friends, and you should be prepared. I've encountered these kinds of people before, and they are not above blatantly lying just to hurt you. And one of the best ways to hurt you is to isolate you from everyone else. On top of just trying to spoil your friendships, they will also try to ruin your reputation. They will go above and beyond to try and spread rumors about you, try and get people to think the wrong way about you. Anything they can do to make your life more miserable, they're gonna try it. And I know it's going to be really difficult to do this, but honestly, your best defense in dealing with one of these spiteful, hate-filled people is to not allow yourself to sink down to their level. Because if you start fighting dirty too, people are gonna see your tactics and they're gonna start to believe what this nasty person is saying about you, because if you're doing these behaviors, maybe what they're saying is true. Whereas if you remain a good person that is just and you stick to your morals, there's a much greater chance that people are gonna see through the lies about you and be like, yeah, you're full of it. And in the end, if one of these spiteful people just will not lay off you and nothing you're trying is working, you can always ask for help. Go to an adult, find somebody you trust. Honestly, you don't have to go it alone. And if you are an adult and you're dealing with this, well, now that it's the real world, there's no safety net protecting those little spiteful monstrosities. You can get a good old restraining order. Encountering any one of these kinds of toxic friends can be a really stressful and draining experience. But some good can come out of it, because if you've experienced this nastiness, you truly gain a proper appreciation for the good friends in your life. And when you live through these things, you really gain an insight as to the red flags that lead to more of these people in the future, and you know how to avoid them. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today's video. I really hope you haven't had to experience these types of friends, but if you have, I get what it's like, and I'm so glad you were able to get out of it. And if you are working on getting out of them, stay strong. You don't deserve any of this nonsense. I love you all, and I am wishing you the best. But that is all the time we have for today, so I will catch you next time. That's all for now. Bye-bye!